The email arrived at 8:47 a.m., and in that single moment, my entire world seemed to collapse. The subject line was short, cold, and terrifyingly formal: meeting request, urgent. It came directly from the CEO. My hands froze above the keyboard, my coffee sat untouched beside me, and my heartbeat grew so loud it felt like it echoed through the office walls. People around me continued typing, laughing softly, living their normal lives, completely unaware that mine had just begun to unravel. I had only been working at the company for 8 months. 8 months of trying, failing, learning, staying late, fixing mistakes, proving myself. And now, it all felt like it was about to end. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us of the unexpected beauty in life, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to The Kindness Chronicles. Your support keeps these stories alive and reaching hearts that need them. I stared at the email again, hoping it would somehow change. Hoping I had misread it. But it didn't. It just sat there, heavy and unmovable, like a verdict waiting to be delivered. My mind began replaying every small mistake I had made over the past few weeks. The missed deadline. The report I had to redo twice. The presentation where I stumbled halfway through. Each memory felt like a nail sealing my fate. The CEO, Elena Rahman, was not someone you got called in to see casually. She was known throughout the company as sharp, composed, and intimidatingly perceptive. People respected her deeply, but they also feared her. She had built the company from the ground up, and there was something about her presence that made even the most confident employees second-guess themselves. And now, she wanted to see me. The meeting was scheduled for 10 a.m., which meant I had just over an hour to sit with my thoughts, an hour that felt more like a lifetime. I tried to focus on my work, but the words on my screen blurred together. My fingers hovered uselessly above the keyboard. Every passing minute felt like a step closer to the edge of a cliff. By 9:45, I couldn't take it anymore. I stood up, straightened my shirt, and took a slow breath. My reflection in the restroom mirror looked pale and uncertain. I tried to convince myself that maybe it wasn't what I thought. Maybe it was about a new project. Maybe it was something good. But deep down, I didn't believe that. At exactly 9:59, I found myself standing outside her office. The door was closed, sleek and silent, like it was guarding something I wasn't ready to face. I raised my hand to knock, hesitated, and then finally did it. "Come in," her voice called from inside. I stepped in, and the room felt different from the rest of the office, quieter, more deliberate. She was sitting behind her desk, reviewing something on her tablet. When she looked up, her gaze met mine, steady and unreadable. In that moment, every fear I had felt solidified into certainty. I was about to be fired. I walked toward the chair in front of her desk, my legs feeling heavier with each step. My mind raced, trying to prepare some kind of explanation, some kind of defense. I sat down, clasping my hands together to hide how much they were trembling. She didn't speak immediately. Instead, she studied me for a moment, as if she was trying to understand something deeper than what was visible on the surface. That silence stretched on, filling the room with tension so thick it felt almost suffocating. Finally, she set her tablet down. And then something unexpected happened. Her expression softened. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it was enough to throw me off completely. This wasn't the cold, sharp CEO everyone talked about. This was someone different. Someone uncertain. She took a breath, as if gathering courage. And suddenly, I realized something was very, very wrong, not in the way I had feared, but in a way I couldn't yet understand. The conversation that followed didn't go the way I had imagined at all. At first, she asked about my work, my experience, how I had been finding things at the company. Her questions were calm, almost gentle, but I could feel something beneath them, something unspoken. I answered carefully, still bracing myself for the moment everything would fall apart. But that moment never came. Instead, the atmosphere in the room began to shift. Slowly, subtly, like the first light of dawn breaking through a long, dark night. Her tone changed. Her posture changed. And then, in a moment that felt completely unreal, she admitted something that left me speechless. She told me she had been noticing me. Not just my work. Me. At first, I thought I had misunderstood. My mind struggled to process what she was saying. But as she continued, it became clear. This wasn't about my performance. This wasn't about mistakes or deadlines or reports. This was something deeply personal. She confessed that over the past few months, she had found herself watching me more often than she should. Not in a controlling or critical way, but in a way that surprised even her. She noticed how I stayed late to help others. How I handled pressure, even when I thought no one was looking. How I treated people with quiet kindness, even in a competitive environment. She said it wasn't something she had planned. It wasn't something she had even wanted to feel. But it had grown anyway. And now, it had reached a point where she couldn't ignore it anymore. The room fell silent again, but this time, it wasn't filled with fear. It was filled with something far more complex: confusion, disbelief, and a strange, fragile warmth. I didn't know what to say. This wasn't how stories like mine were supposed to go. I was just an ordinary employee, still trying to prove myself, still unsure of my place. And she was the CEO, confident, powerful, seemingly untouchable. Our worlds weren't supposed to overlap like this. But somehow, they had. Over the next few days, everything felt different. Not dramatically, not obviously, but subtly, in ways that only I could notice. Small moments began to carry new meaning. Brief interactions felt heavier, more significant. A glance that lingered a second longer than usual. A quiet acknowledgement in a crowded room. And yet, nothing inappropriate ever happened. She remained professional, composed, respectful of boundaries. But beneath that professionalism, there was an unspoken connection that neither of us could fully ignore. I struggled with it more than I expected. Part of me felt honored, even touched, by what she had shared. But another part of me felt uncertain, overwhelmed by the complexity of it all. I worried about what it meant, for my job, for my future, for the way others might perceive things if they ever found out. Most of all, I worried about losing the one thing I had worked so hard to build, my sense of independence, my sense of self. Weeks passed, and the tension slowly transformed into something more stable, more grounded. We found a balance. We learned how to navigate the space between professionalism and emotion without letting it consume us. And in that process, something unexpected happened. I started to see her differently. Not as the intimidating CEO everyone feared, but as a person, someone who carried her own burdens, her own loneliness, her own quiet longing for connection. Beneath the confidence and control, there was vulnerability. And that vulnerability made her real in a way I had never imagined. One evening, long after most people had left the office, we found ourselves in the same place again. Not in her office, not in a formal setting, but in the quiet stillness of a nearly empty building. There were no expectations, no pressure, just two people sharing a moment of honesty. And in that moment, everything became clear. This wasn't about power or position or anything superficial. It was about connection. It was about two people who had crossed paths in the most unexpected way and found something genuine in a world that often felt anything but. The journey wasn't easy after that. There were challenges, difficult decisions, moments of doubt. We had to be careful, thoughtful, intentional about every step we took. But we faced it together. And slowly, what began as fear turned into something beautiful. Something real. Looking back now, I still remember that morning, the email, the fear, the certainty that everything was about to fall apart. I remember how close I came to believing the worst about my future. But life has a strange way of surprising us. Sometimes, the moments we fear the most are the ones that lead us exactly where we're meant to be. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that life can change in the most unexpected ways, take a moment to like, comment, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe to The Kindness Chronicles for more stories that inspire and move the soul.